So a lot of really cool stuff came out this year, and today we're going to be talking about my top 5 purchases for filmmaking that I made this year. These purchases range from things that literally make my job much easier, all the way to things that actually impact the visual aesthetic of my filmmaking. All right, I've always wanted to say this. Let's get into it.
Hello, I'm the freshest in the place. When I laps with my vibe and you can't get the...
So I don't always want to talk about gear on this channel. Eventually I'd like for it to pivot into the actual craft of cinematography and filmmaking as a whole. But gear is important. We do use it every day. It helps us create these images for the stories we want to tell. So I do like to cover gear occasionally. I watch gear reviews too. They help inform decisions on what we want to use and maybe purchase for certain projects. So I definitely still like to wax poetic about certain gear because maybe it'll help you guys. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. First, we're going to go with some honorable mentions. These are things that aren't really directly related to my career or filmmaking, but in a way they are. For the first honorable mention, we're going to nerd out with my projector setup. So for many years, I had a really nice OLED TV. And for us filmmakers, we know visual quality matters. And this year, I actually switched to a projector setup. The kind I got was the Valerion Pro, which is a super high quality cinema level 4K projector. The problem with projectors are the blacks are usually not that deep. It can look a little washed out sometimes, but this one actually packs a very strong punch as far as the imagery. And I paired that with an 120-inch screen that actually just goes up when I want it to. Takes a while though. And there it is all the way up. It's kind of hard to get the sense of it on camera, but it basically takes up an entire wall of my living room. I like the windows though, so let's put that back down. All right, I promise that wasn't just me flexing. This actually helps my career in kind of a weird roundabout way. One, during the daytime, it keeps my living room nice and bright and open. There's no TV, there's no distractions. I never really watch that much TV during the day anyway, but this just helps with the environment that I surround myself in. It makes for a more peaceful work setting and actually helps me get work done better when I'm working from home. And this may sound silly, but it actually makes me a little more intentional with what I watch. So this year I've been much more inclined to put on movies and TV shows that motivate me and inspire my work. It also has kind of helped with my work because it can hook up to my computer. So I can really pixel peep by watching my content on a huge, massive screen. It often gives me peace of mind to know, okay, if this played in a theater, it would look great. It also makes you hyper aware of whether or not you missed focus. And it can be pretty great if a client wants to come over because we can preview our work on a really big screen and get that theatrical experience. The other honorable mention I'll make is kind of an investment, and that was actually in my sobriety. I know that sounds weird, it doesn't really directly correlate with filmmaking, but hear me out. The last 10 or 15 years, I was on a spectrum of what you might call alcohol use disorder. Basically, I had a pretty unhealthy relationship with alcohol. At first it was fun, then it became a bad habit, then it became a nightly routine. This year I decided to get it out of my life and I'm no longer a drinker. This actually has impacted my career in a huge way. I have more energy, I have more focus, I say yes to more things, and it's just motivated me overall to be a better filmmaker. Our job has a lot of ups and downs and it can be really stressful. So if you are dealing with a similar problem, I highly recommend to reach out to someone to talk to. You can always reach out to me. I'm an open book when it comes to this kind of stuff. I joined a coaching program that not only helped me get rid of alcohol, but also elevated my perspective and my life in a variety of different ways, which in return elevated my career. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get into the actual top 5 purchases I made this year for my filmmaking. These are kind of in order, but they're kind of not because they all helped me in very different ways. So at the number 5 spot, we have the Tamron 28-75 zoom lens. This is in the Nikon Z mount and has been a game changer for my run and gun work. Now I understand that's going to be old news to most of you. The 24-70 range of zoom lenses have been popular for a very long time, and I've used my fair share of them. The Sigma is a classic, and most brands have native ones for their cameras, and I have used most of them, but I've never owned one. The flexibility you get with a 28-75 at f2.8 is awesome. This has been my branded content workhorse. I know I'm late to the game, but you have to understand the way I came up and learned was very narrative based. I'm a creature of habit, so prime lenses and manual focus were just my go-to. Anytime I tried autofocus in the past, it just didn't really get me the results that I was after, and I ended up going manual anyway. This year, that changed. The Nikon ZR paired with this Tamron 28-75 has exceptional autofocus. This has helped speed up my workflow and make my life easier in a ton of branded content shoots, corporate shoots, things of that nature. Although I wouldn't use this lens on narrative work, it has certainly helped me in a ton of different jobs that help pay the bills. In my number 4 spot, we have the Saramonic audio system. A lot of brands make these, like Rode or DJI, and I just happen to go with the Saramonic. They pretty much all do the same thing, but in the reviews and testing I did, the Saramonic took the cake. It comes in a nice chargeable box with 1 receiver and 2 mics, one of which I'm using right now. They come with the dead cats and lav mics if you want to clip them onto your pants and do more traditional lavalier mic. Although I like the quality best when it's directionally through the microphone. They record 32-bit float internally, which is awesome. Or you could hook your receiver up to the camera, like I have here, and bake the audio right into your footage. These come with me pretty much everywhere. I've used them for BTS, branded content, corporate work, podcasts, interviews, you name it. And sometimes I'll even just clip this onto the front of my camera and use it as general audio. For the price, these little things are awesome. Again, I come from the narrative world, so more often than not, I would have a Zoom recorder hooked up to a shotgun mic, I'd boom that over, I'd sync it in post, it was a whole thing. And although that gives you high quality results and it works just fine, these make my life easier. And the further along I get in my career, the more I realize I just love things that make my life easier. Speaking of making my life easier, let's get into the top 3 things that I bought this year. At my number 3 spot is what I'm shooting on right now, the Nikon ZR. We've all talked about the Nikon ZR enough, God knows I have on my channel, but it's really because it's that great of a camera. With the autofocus and the giant 4-inch screen on the back, the Red RAW, the other flavor of codecs, the NRAW standard, which I'm shooting on right now, this thing just has so much versatility. I've already been able to have this on a variety of different shoots, from run and gun branded content to fully produced music videos. I've used the H.265, I've used the NRAW, and I've used the wonderful Red RAW, and they all work perfectly for what you should be using them for. I've done the H.265 on quick little straight to Instagram things and it works fine. I've done the NRAW on branded content and branded commercials and it looks great. And I've used the Red RAW on 2 music videos for a pretty notable band and the footage came out absolutely stunning. I definitely plan on having this camera as my solid workhorse for next year as well. If you want to learn more about the Nikon ZR, you can watch plenty of videos on my channel that cover this camera. In my number 2 spot, we're going to go with my new M4 Mac Studio computer. I was a PC guy for the last 10 years. I could never justify getting one of those Apple towers. My PC always had very similar specs for a fraction of the cost. But with the new Mac Minis and the Mac Studios, those prices have actually come down quite a bit. So this year, I finally decided to upgrade and get a Mac. This thing has made my life easier. You can throw anything at it. It cuts everything like butter. I don't have to make any more proxies. My last PC was still highly capable, but this one's just smoother. It renders things quicker. I can just get work done faster. Although I'm a cinematographer by trade, I do own my own production company, and I personally do a lot of edits, coloring, sound, etc. in my home. So this thing just speeds up that process a lot more. I also paired it with a 5K touchscreen monitor, so it just smooths out my entire workflow. And again, the common theme, it makes my life easier. And not for nothing, it's small enough that I can actually travel with it. I often have shoots outside of California where I might be gone for 2 or 3 weeks. It helps to know that I can pack this up with a nice little portable monitor and I can have an absolute beast of a workhorse travel with me and I can get work done away from home. And that brings me to my number 1 purchase of this year, which is the reason there's black bars on this video. The Blazar Mantis anamorphic lenses. These things are fucking incredible. I was toying around with the idea of buying them pretty much the last 8 months. Then that Black Friday sale hit and I pulled the trigger. The extremely crisp optics, paired with the squeeze factor and the oval iris blades, those things combined give you a lot of the characteristics of a 2x squeeze anamorphic lens. After some testing, I actually found these have more of a 1.4 squeeze. So they're incredibly similar to the Remus that have a 1.5 squeeze, but they give a lot of the character of the Katos, which have a 2x squeeze. To me, they're kind of the best of both worlds when it comes to anamorphic shooting. They're relatively cheap for what they offer, they're extremely well built, and just so you can see what these lenses do to the image, right now I'm shooting on the 35mm. but here's what it looks like when I shoot on a 35mm spherical lens. Here's what 35mm looks like for a spherical lens. Now let's go back to the Anamorphics. So you can see I'm relatively similar in the frame, but we're gaining all this width. It just offers that smooth, buttery, inherently cinematic look. So those are my top 5 purchases of 2025. And I'm gonna try my darnest to not buy as much next year because my wallet hurts.